So for those of you who don't know, I'm Matt Franklin. I'll be moderating this panel, so I'll probably have the least to say. Gonna let them introduce themselves, but for myself, most importantly, I'm the director of AV here at Siege, so I'm in charge of all the cameras except for right now. We're also doing our live streaming, not here, in another room. Go figure that one out. And yeah, mostly I run around and act crazy.
I don't really know what to say other than my name is Samantha Moody, or if you're in the Smite scene, Twitter, I go by Tyger, Tyger. I do a little bit of streaming at home, but mainly I stream through other people's channels. I'm an eSports commentator for Smite, so that's mainly what I do, and we'll kind of delve into that later on.
Hey, I'm Matt Canei. I'm art director for Impact Games, working on Hanago Soul of the Samurai, and I'm a technical artist at Hi-Rez Studios.
Hold up. Bring this mic up. I can hear him. I can't hear me. Not that I care, but I want it to be even.
Nice.
Check, 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 check. 1, 2. Not on that. On the mixer, on the bottom.
Reminds me of me at a concert and the singer's like.
Yeah. Check, check. 1, 2. Check, check. Check. 1. We'll live with that. Right.
My name's Obando on Twitch and on Xbox and PlayStation. I go by Ringtuple, and I do a lot of streaming. Mainly Destiny's my main game. I'm notorious to do Smite, Licton Battle Mage, various other games. I'm open for anything, and yeah, pretty much, as he said, unofficial live stream. We're using my Twitch channel to stream this out. So.
Bad camera angles make me cry. Okay, so who here has been following the SiegeCon hashtag? Okay. There you go. I know you have.
Of course.
Yeah, what's a Twitter? Well, yeah. I've been talking about this panel a little bit there. A bunch of us have put out some information on our equipment choices and kind of the mechanics of live streaming. Don't want to focus on that on this panel, but we can all direct you to those resources afterwards. And if you have questions, come up to us. We don't bite much. I do want to talk about platform options. So the streaming that I do is mainly YouTube, and it's not for me. I don't personally stream much. I do a lot of streaming for the Georgia Game Developers Association, and it's been a trial by fire. I'm starting to do that as a freelancer. YouTube Live, what? Am I backwards? There we go. YouTube Live is kind of the one I'm most familiar with, and in a game context, that's a little weird. But it does allow you to do things like set up stuff ahead of time, schedule it, SEO, etc. Gonna let everybody else talk now.
So the main platform that I'm familiar with is Twitch. I think everybody else is very familiar with that as well. You can use Twitch, YouTube. Those are the big two main ones that I am aware of. But OBS is friendlier, in my opinion, with Twitch. And what do you use for YouTube?
OBS.
OBS too?
Yep.
All right.
OBS.
OBS. OBS works with everything.
For those
In
who don't know
fact,
what that
it's
is,
right there.
OBS stands for Open Broadcasting Software. It's a free media encoder, which if you're not using a phone and Periscope, you probably need.
There we go. That's OBS.
Yeah. What we're using right now to broadcast this on his Twitter or his Twitch is OBS, and it's very user friendly, very easy to follow, and we'll kind of cover that later on when we go through gear choices.
Yeah, I primarily stream on Twitch as well, with OBS. OBS Master Race.
Yeah, right.
I use Twitch. Depends on what I'm doing. If it's on my Xbox, I use the app, snap it on there, able to see my chat and everything. Use the Connect to put me on there, and then for this kind of situation we're in, I use OBS. So very easy, very simple.
4 out of 5 not radiologists prefer OBS. One thing about your platform, and when the platform is where you publish it. The encoder is how you get it there. One thing about your platform is a demographics choice. The reason last year when we started streaming for the GGDA, even though we're game developers, is we're not doing Let's Play and we're not doing tournaments. We're doing conference work and we're doing stuff that kind of is not really in Twitch's wheelhouse. So look at who watches what, and that's how I would say make your choice of, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook Live even, because that's a thing. I don't have a whole lot of love for Periscope, but a lot of people use it. It's kind of the social media of live streaming. Let me see. What's on it? My wonderful show notes.
I'm cheating.
Yeah, right. Quick setup and pre-production. I don't remember why I wrote that down. Demographics. There's also simulcasting. There are websites that you can put all of your streaming keys into, and it'll publish everything to multiple channels if you want it to. That can be very technical, but if you want to cover multiple demographics, that's an option. What do you guys think about having all of your content out there for free versus some kind of a paywall or like premium content?
I don't want to be first. All right, so
I'm just passing off the mic. I don't care who talks.
Okay, so with free content, I think Let's Plays, I think trying to build that community that most people want with these new games, even with games that are currently existing, like Smite, like World of Warcraft, anything in that vein, that should be free, in my opinion. When you get to these people that are very developed, they're very, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Very invested in the scene, very well known. There are some Twitch subscribers that you can't actually go and watch their VODs, the previous streaming sessions they've done, without subscribing to them $5 a month. So I think that line kind of becomes a little bit sketchy depending on, do you want it for the money or do you want it for the community? And that's kind of a big choice you have to make.
Let VOD clarify that. Video on demand, is that what that stands for?
Yes. Most people, if you don't have anything that Twitch would block your video for, like copyrighted music, I could go, let's say I went and streamed last night. You can go and watch that stream previously whenever you want, video on demand, today, tomorrow, next week. But there are ways to block that off. If I was popular, say I had a lot of subscribers, say I had people that wanted to see what I do, you can pigeonhole that into making money by saying you can't watch this unless you pay.
Lots of people want to see what you do, Tyger. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's kind of different for me because I mostly stream game development. So using Twitch, going back to platform for a second, is there's not really a huge market or a platform specifically for like creative streaming. I mean, Twitch has, you put, usually when you stream, you have, is playing game name,
Yeah.
For more development or artistic streaming, there's a creative section that's just like a catch-all for anyone, like people playing music or singing or drawing or doing game development or whatever. So I agree with you about free content being the way to go in general, especially for development streaming, because really it's community building, so people want to buy your game that you're working on and they feel invested in the development of it. More so than I would never charge for someone to watch a VOD, because I'm like, I want you to play my game. I don't want you to pay to watch me make it. I want you to pay
What
for
about
the thing.
monetizing it with ads, though?
If that's an option, I mean, if the community,
Nothing
I
wrong
mean,
with that.
Right.
yeah, might as well. I mean, most people are probably using ad block when they're watching streams, but if they're not, then
For the people that don't,
yeah, be nice. It's much harder to be making games and build the community to that level where now Twitch wants you to serve ads versus playing games is much more entertaining than watching a guy like sculpt in ZBrush or whatever.
In my case, I stream games just to play them, get people to watch it and stuff. And also when I stream, I get other people in my fire team in the case of Destiny is to let others hear what they say, and it actually gets more entertaining when the viewers are on. So they say, where was that one guy that was with you a few days ago, that was doing this. So in my case, I play the game just for entertainment, to entertain people, as opposed to, okay, I don't do the development side or the newscaster side. I'm the entertainer, so I'm the face of the camera. So when I play a game, I try to crack a joke here and there. Sometimes it's, if there's nothing to say, it's silent and all that. But if I have the chat there talking to me, so what did you just do? Can I steal that idea from you so I can use it in my game? It's like, yeah, there's no copyright on that. It's just something cool that I thought I'd do.
You guys are touching on something that I think we should really focus on here. To me, streaming, especially if you're just doing Let's Plays, if you're just, capturing your Xbox, that's a great community building resource. It's not really a high polished product. With the paywall idea, if you're going to high-res levels of we have our own studio, we have a professional team of you can't afford this camera type stuff, obviously that's going to be a little more premium. But just like what we're doing here online, this is outreach. I'm not going to charge you to watch my Twitter feed. You know, I'm not going to charge you to watch what we're doing here. So what are your thoughts on engaging the community with a live stream? Like, I know you specifically, Matt, that's why you started doing it. You turn on the camera to watch yourself work, just to kind of say, hey, we're doing stuff.
Yeah, I think it started as a kind of an experiment because I felt like I wasn't doing enough focused work, and I figured if people are watching me, then it holds me accountable. I can't BS and web surf all night when I need to be working if people are watching.
Yeah.
So it's like the more people that were in the channel, the more focused the work was, and the better the work was. And then the same people started showing up. There was this group of German guys that for some reason it was like a perfect time of day in Germany for them to watch. And
When was this?
Sorry?
When was this? During
Oh.
the day.
Probably like midnight here, 1 a.m., 2 a.m.,
Oh, yeah,
real late.
Well,
And so there started being a small amount of regulars, and then where it was like 2 people in there, having a consistent schedule led to 50 people being in there, and it was nice because they'd ask so many questions, and that would keep things going. It'd keep me focused because I'd start straying off, and then they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? How are you doing this? What level is this for? What game is this? And you get to tell them that story, and it's like they become friends. I feel like.
Yeah.
You guys feel like your viewers
Yeah.
kind of become your friends, especially the ones that are always there. You feel you
Definitely.
can count on them to. You're like, well, at least regular A is there to say, hey, what's up? Like, how you doing? At least one person cares.
I've got one viewer, and I know him.
Yeah, for me, it's I started last July-ish. So it's been like a year and some. I started because I started watching streamers. I'm like, oh, this seems like cool to do. Why not? So I jump on. First stream I did, 10 viewers. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, this is cool. But then there's times where I have 1 viewer, 0. I'm like, whatever, but I'll just roll with it. There's times where I say, hey, I'm about to do this really cool thing with my team. Let's do it. Then that's when, if you advertise, you get a lot of people. There's actually been a few times when I started streaming, it was my time period I worked for GameStop. So I would go into the food court, Chick-fil-A to get, for a break and all that. I said, hey, you're that one guy that streams games, right? I'm like, yeah. And he said, oh, you're Ring Tuple, right? Yeah, that's me. I said, who are you? I said, I'm one of your viewers. You may not know me. Nice to meet you. Very nice to meet you. And you are? So that's when you finally meet the people, it's really great. Actually, last night at the party, had like 3 people come up to me and say, I watched your stream. I'm like, very nice to meet you. Thank you.
Anything to add?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think when it comes to building up the community, it's all about consistency. If you're only in for maybe 1 or 2 nights and then you drop off the face of the earth, that community that might have been able to become something bigger completely tapers off. You need to be consistent. I mean, not even with setting a schedule is nice. Just having that extra time, even if it's just I can only stream Monday mornings from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. Weird time, sure, but it's consistent. You're going to get these people that come in, and then that's how you're going to build the community from there.
It's not weird for Germans.
That's true.
Yeah, consistency. So, like I said, I don't live stream for my own stuff. I'm very much video on demand. I do post-production editing on it. And, yeah, consistency is king, much more so in a live setting. One thing that stops me from enjoying live streaming is I never know when stuff is going to happen. And it's never when it's convenient for me. So if you do get that sort of sweet spot where, yeah, oh, hey, there's people watching at this time, stick with that time, right? Want to talk very briefly about what I'm calling genres of live streaming, because there's different things you can do with it, right? There's what we're doing here where it's conferences, it's panels, and informative stuff. The title of this panel, of course, includes Let's Plays. If anybody doesn't know what that is, raise your hand. Okay, so a Let's Play is I play a game, I record my voice into it, and I put that out on the internet live, basically. Crash course there for you. So you, on the other hand, have the sort of in-house development live stream. Can you kind of describe for the audience what it is you do with that?
Sure. Basically, I have OBS. I have a screen share going, a couple overlays for social media because it's basically a community building tool. But it's mostly I'll have 3D applications open, Unreal Engine open, whatever I'm working on, and I'm just working. I have a little picture-in-picture of myself, so when I'm talking to people, it feels more personal, and it should. But it's mostly just whatever I'm working on that day. I'll usually announce ahead of time, I'm going to be working on this tonight, so hopefully if a viewer's like, I really want to learn more about ZBrush sculpting, or I want to learn about 3D modeling, or how do characters work, or how does Unreal Engine work, then they know, oh, it's an Unreal stream, I'll come in because I want to see how like animations are hooked up or whatever. It's much more technical. It's done I kind of try to do it in a tutorial kind of way. If someone asks, how do I do this, I'll try to make time to address it.
You seem to have this kind of hybrid thing going on with your audience where they kind of inform what you do. Has that, you mentioned the accountability aspect, but like seriously, has that improved the quality of your work? Has it guided where the game goes?
I think so, because there's certain nights where just the creative juices aren't working as well, and I'll be working on an asset and be like, crap, I don't know where I want to go with this. And sometimes viewers like, well, what if you do this? I'm like, that's the way. And then it kind of helps you get on a better path, and that's been really cool.
Okay.
But I want to reinforce a point you just made earlier about consistency, and that's something that my community lost big time, because before I was streaming 3 days, sometimes 4 days a week, same schedule every day, always announced, and the community was consistently building, and it was really high conversion. I mean, it was better than social media or any other means of acquiring community, and it was consistent. It was 10 new people a day or whatever, and then it dropped off. Life got busy, and then coming back to it, it's like I'm lucky if like one person comes in now.
Wow.
Where it was like consistently, 20 to 50, and sometimes you get up to 100. And I felt like that was pretty large for a game development stream.
Yeah.
And then it just like completely like off the cliff.
What do you think was the catalyst for that?
Consistency.
Okay.
Just being there and engaging with the community, and then I started seeing people's friends coming. They're like, "Hey, I'm this guy's friend," and they
No,
was
no,
kinda,
I'm sorry. I meant the catalyst for the
sorry.
drop off. What do you think spiked that? Real life.
Yeah, real life. Just things changed.
Okay.
I moved a couple times, and
yeah.
my schedule changed, and I didn't have as much free time to devote specifically to streaming. And honestly, there was a point where streaming started to become more of a distraction than a focus mechanism. I was more engaging than working, so I tried to balance, and then like half my work nights became work nights, not streaming, and it kind of alternates.
Okay.
Sometimes when I stream now, it helps focus. Other times it doesn't. So it's kind of like prioritizing.
For you, is it just you doing the stream? Because I know you got a couple other people you work with.
Usually we've done a few like dev Q&As. We try to do one monthly. We fell off that too.
Right.
Where it just be like the three, my two co-founders of the project, we're all just taking Q&A for a while. And when the community was bigger, that was awesome because enough people would come in to get enough questions to actually fill an hour.
Right.
Whereas now it's like if we get one question in one of those, it's like, well, let me try to stretch this out for a while.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking, in my own stuff, it's my wife and I who do everything, and we trade off on social media stuff, and it's like, my God, the social media by itself is a full-time job. So if you have people helping, that can make a huge difference. And yeah, if you move, I mean, that interrupts everything. Tyger, I want to talk about eSports a little bit, because I know you're starting to get into that arena, like pro for serious. Can you?
For real, not for play.
Yeah, right. Can you kind of describe what that transition has been like thus far, and how the Hi-Rez setup is different from what you do in your own shindig?
Absolutely. So I went to the previous Worlds in January and kind of sparked that I wanted to do this. So coming from the complete bottom, I've never casted before. I've never even opened up a game and tried to talk about what's going on with a friend. So starting from the complete bottom, got a headset, got a mic, watched it, practiced, learned all the little bits, the little intricate details about the game, the names of everything, the names of every cotton pick and item. And then eventually got my first gig. Wasn't paid, but it was me commentating over a tournament, 7 p.m. to usually about midnight, depending on how the games went. And then from there, it kept growing and growing and growing. I got noticed. More people kept the following. And the following, I kind of managed that with Twitter because that's kind of the big social media that's happening now. I didn't have one before I started this, so I'm very Twitter illiterate. But I'm kind of learning and starting to get up higher.
Most people on Twitter are Twitter illiterate anyway.
It used to be just pictures of my sugar glider and my cat, but now it's kind of more geared towards the gaming side. When I got brought up by Hi-Rez, it was actually for the Challengers Cup, the amateur scene, coming in to try and break into the pro scene. And they brought me in because I'm local, and they wanted to bring a Challengers Cup caster. So it's kind of a desk similar to this. You have a nice camera. You actually have about 5 for different shots, wide shots coming in for the individual shots. When you want to make a point, you'll turn back to the main camera and then go back to your caster sort of deal. But you were talking about having one computer to push out all of your streaming media. Yeah. They have a computer for everyone. Like there's a Twitch computer, there's a YouTube computer, there's a whatever you're looking at. There's a separate computer for that.
Obviously, there's a budget issue there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I only have one camera in my meager home, and one headset versus like the 20 that I see around the entire place.
How's it different for audience engagement when you're doing your own thing and when you're at Hi-Rez?
When I'm at Hi-Rez, for good reason, I don't see any chat. I don't see anything that's said in Twitch. I don't see anything that's said on the YouTube. I don't see any comments that I would have seen perhaps on Twitter. I keep the phone off. We only have a live screen. Like if I were casting today, I'd be looking at that computer. I'd see exactly what OBS would see. I'd see exactly what's being pumped out. So, yeah. When I'm at home, I get to engage with people. I get to see the Twitter comments. I get to see if anybody posts on my YouTube channel. I get to see Twitch. I get to see that immediate interaction and get to talk with them versus at Hi-Rez, it's very cut, dry. It's very professional. And, I mean, you can't really interact.
Rod, I had a question for you, and I forgot what it was. I'm sort of okay this morning, let me point out. Who made the party last night? You were there. Oh, I remember. So you said that, like, the first time you turned it on, you had, like, 10 viewers. Congratulations, you had more viewers than yesterday's keynote. That is not a joke. We had 5 concurrent people watching the keynote yesterday because we didn't really talk about it beforehand. So how do you think you got those 10 viewers right off the bat?
Well, when I decided to stream that day, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to kick it off. Let's put something on Facebook, see how many people watch.
At the very least, yeah. We keep talking about Twitter, Facebook. Take note. If you don't have a Twitter handle, get one. If you branch out into other social media, which you should, get the same name for everything. One trick that I use is ifttt.com. It's kind of an Internet of Things automation service. So when I post to my channel's Instagram, it goes everywhere. And I can tag myself and my wife, and I know that in Instagram she'll see it, in Twitter she'll see it, and everybody else who sees it will know who we're talking about. Be consistent with your social media.
Yeah, the thing with mine is I can't really be consistent because also Ringtuple happens to be a local company in Columbus, and that kind of just, I inherited that from the company because they kind of just, it stuck on. So I can't really do that. So most of my social media is my initials. So it's RR Obando mainly, but then my actual streamer Facebook page is Ringtuple ENT, which stands for entertainer, and it kind of distinguishes that from the company. So it's mine is very interesting that I have to kind of maintain different things, but you know, everything, as Matt said, goes through one thing. I tweet out, it goes to my personal Facebook and to the Facebook page. I send out an Instagram photo, it goes out everywhere. So it's you can link multiple social medias to one, and it'll save you a lot of time.
It will. The one danger with that, and especially if you use TweetDeck or Buffer to schedule things, is don't assume that just because you've scheduled a tweet that's going to take off. You have to be watching it, and you have to engage. The entire point of streaming, of social media, is not to put yourself out there. It's to talk to people. It's to get people talking with you. One trick that I've always heard from everyone who ever had any success on YouTube is the way I got successful on YouTube is I went to somebody else's channel, I chatted them up, right? Okay, so let's talk about planning.
Yeah, another
Go
way
ahead.
to be successful, and this is one thing I learned recently, and one thing that I did is when I go into someone else's channel, they're like, oh, thank you so-and-so for the host. I'm like, hosting? What's this? So then I looked into it. There's actually a command on Twitch, /host. You put the name. So then whenever someone comes to your channel, you're advertising someone else's channel. So every so often, I'm like, all right, let's see who one of my closest friends here in Columbus is streaming. Got it. I'm gonna bug out one of my friends, Spirit X Collapse, right? Oh, he's on. Let's host him. Sometimes I will do. I have hosted Bungie before, so let's host Bungie. Let's host some of the known streamers. So that way they come to your channel. Oh, who's this guy? They get publicity. Then they come back to you. Because there's been times where I'm at work. I work full time at a university. So I'm like, all right, let's host. Come back that night for a 6 o'clock stream till 6, 8, depending on the day. Oh, hey, you hosted so-and-so. I want to check you out now.
Cool. Okay, let's talk about if you are a game developer and you're starting to think about, well, maybe we should do kind of what Matt's doing with the using live streaming to promote the game and engage an audience that way. Let's talk about planning something like that. So we've already talked about the different things you can show with a live stream, but what are y'all's thoughts on figuring out your budget, figuring out your team size, targeting demographics, and just the general things that you would think about for a for reals live streaming presence? And Tyger, I know you're not a game developer, but I still want to hear your thoughts on how you, as a fan caster, were engaged by Hi-Rez in this regard. Whoever wants to.
I'm going to go last.
Okay.
I'll go first. For us, it was where to start with this.
That's the point.
Where to start with this? Because it's a development promotion tool now, but eventually there'll be a point where the channel transitions into just playing the game, and that's where I'll be like all over the place looking for these guys. I'll want everyone on Earth playing it on Twitch if I can get them. And usually there was a point, 2 or 3 years ago, there was that conference that was tied to the Smite launch tournament. It was like a YouTube conference in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. And there were a ton of big streamers there, and we just threw ourselves out there and tried to network with them because every indie game is in that. There's like 1,000 indie games every second, messaging every streamer that is remotely well known. Be like, hey, will you play my game, please? Like, it's the primary way for an indie game to market. I feel like because we don't have a budget to like get a TV commercial. We don't have a budget to really do even like an ad blast or a site takeover. So we have to rely on streamers liking the game and saying positive things. You can't pay them to say it, but you hope. You can maybe like, hey, I'll throw you a key early. I'll get you an internal test with us. So you feel like you're helping us build. You're giving us feedback early before the game's out there in the public. So when it is and you're playing it and it's done and hopefully thousands of people are playing, you have all this credibility coming in because people trust streamers. There's a responsibility for them. Their viewership's like, oh yeah, your viewers, you're playing my game. And you're like, I love this, you should play it, your viewers are going to be more likely to play it.
Let me ask you this. Once you launch your game, which, by the way, is called Hanako. Did I say that right?
Close enough, that's fine.
Okay.
That's yeah.
Once it goes live, first of all, you'll move on to another project, but do you see your streaming stuff growing into something else more polished? Do you like where it is now? Or
I think for development purposes or after it transitions more into game, which...
So once it transitions into game, in-house stuff, do you see that continuing? Do you see that evolving into something different?
I think it probably should evolve depending on budget. One of the things, I've worked at Hi-Rez for 6 years, or so, going on 7, and I kind of saw from behind the scenes perspective how Smite grew. And I think a lot of how it grew was just the way the streaming was handled and the way it grew, because it started off with Hi-Rez Bart. I don't know if any of you guys remember him.
Oh, boy.
He would just stream for like a couple hours a day in like essentially a storage closet that we painted green. And then it started growing. We started recruiting more people. Then it became a 24/7 schedule. And for a couple of years around the clock, we had, I think, 3-hour time blocks where we had, 12 streamers or however many on schedule, and they'd alternate and have days. And there was every second Smite game channel had streaming happening. And then it grew to having, 10, 20,000 viewers all the time, because there was always something to watch.
Yeah.
Whereas, that's hard to pull off. And I think it had a huge thing to do with the eSports scene growing, because then we started like our pro channel where it's around the clock pro streamers playing. Then you're like, you want to see the best play.
I'm sorry, do you mean esports for Hi-Rez or just esports as a phenomenon?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, if there's more people watching esports on the pro channels and then our own, and it just kind of evolved from there. And I think for indie games, if you can get to the point where you have people playing your game around the clock, having official streamers, I think, is a smart way to go if you can pull it off.
Cool. Yeah, I think if you want a case study of how to start a developer-based stream and grow it into something, Hi-Rez is like the golden child example. So look into their history. Rod.
So with me, since trying to see how to start this one off. Well, one thing that I find that's easy, you don't want to stick with the same thing every day. Like I know in Destiny, every day, okay, Tuesday's reset day. All right, I don't want to be doing the same thing over and over again. You'll tire out your viewers. So what I try to do is, okay, what's the weekly thing that I can do? Okay, for example, this is an off week for me because I'm here at Siege. I've been here since Wednesday night, so I don't have my stream schedule got cut in half. So what I did Tuesday, I spent the majority of the night streaming as much as I could, telling, hey guys, if you check on Saturday, there'll be a very special stream if you want to check that out. So I advertise future streams. Like if I'm going to do something really out of the ordinary, you want people there. One thing I'm going to be advertising in a few weeks is when my group and we go do the new raid for Destiny. That's something that was really hyped up a few weeks ago, but we're finally going to get to it because we're like, okay, we don't want to do it right away. We want to see how others do it so we can go do it and use other people's strategies. I know one time last year the servers were down, so I popped in Lego Jurassic World and streamed that just to see what would happen. I had 20 viewers within 5 minutes. And people interacting with me, saying, cracking all sorts of Jurassic jokes on the stream. So I'm interacting with them, and then cracking all sorts of jokes that I heard about Jurassic Park through like honest trailers and stuff. So I started cracking those jokes. They started following around with me, and then, when I found out the servers came up, someone said, "So Destiny servers are back up. Are you going to go in Destiny? Or are you going to stick with this?" I said, "No, man, I'm sticking with Lego Jurassic World the rest of the day. I like this. You guys are enjoying this. Let's do this." Another one that I do is Rocket League. I bought myself a copy, and then that's really one that everyone enjoys. So when I go on that one, I have easy 5 to 10 viewers. But if I do like a podcast, like I live stream the Middle South chapter GGA meetings down in Columbus, and in there I know typically our main audience is like Atlanta, Athens. All the other chapters mainly watch that. But then I have a few others that, okay, I have a kid that lives in North Carolina that watches my meetings. I have a kid out in Washington State, that I know that's a really different time zone, but he wakes up at the time that he needs to watch it. So, and then they're all interacting. Like, we had a chat about the different disciplines in the industry. One person said, I like composers, music is what I do. So, basically, I brought it to the audience and said, guys, let's talk about music. Let's talk about composing. And then we went from there.
Let me break in real quick. So Rod and Matt both have touched on something that is very important here. Go with what works. If your audience is enjoying something and it's not your normal shtick, who cares? Give the people what they want.
Don't fix it.
Say that again?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to pass it to you, Tyger. So, again, this is like, how do you grow from whatever you want to start at to something bigger? How do you retain an audience? And for you specifically, I want to throw out the question, how do you engage people to become streamers for you? Right? So you're kind of, right, that happened to you through Hi-Rez. So, like, reverse engineer it.
It kind of happened like that, and it kind of didn't, because when I go in and work with Hi-Rez, it's on their professional SEO streams. They have the SCL Games Mondays and Tuesdays, and SCL is the Smite Console League. You have the Smite Pro League, which actually has a LAN that's going to start here in about 30 minutes or so, which is just where teams from all over the world fly in. They come in, fight it out, duke it out in one setting. Like, you get to meet these players, you get to meet the teams. But for me, I don't stream like Smite content on their channel. For me, it's I come in, I sit at a desk like this, I make sure my tie is straight and my hair looks decent, and then the headset messes it up. And we talk about oh, it really does. And then we talk about the game. We do the casting. I don't want to use Smite as an example for this one. I'm actually going to hop over to Paladins, because Paladins is Hi-Rez's newest game.
Open beta.
Yes. And they actually have started that 3-hour time set where you have the 24-hour streamers again. People from all over the world. You have Vox, you've got Pixie Kitty, people that work at the studio that do it in studio as well. So from there, it's honestly, I've seen all over Twitter specifically, hey, are you interested in casting for Paladins? If so, please click this link. And then it's a Google Doc. You put in what times you could be available, what you're interested in, how long you play, how long you've been playing, because they look for people that are new, because you have people that haven't heard of Paladins. So then you come in, watch a new player. You have people that are pro players. You have people that work at the freaking studio that know the ins and outs of the game. So it's all sorts of people that come through, and it's literally showing your interest.
I want to throw it open to questions. One last thing. I just want to know, what kind of things do you guys like to watch live?
It depends. If typically get ideas for Destiny things, I watch other streamers that do it that have the same interest. I sometimes watch other games that are less popular. If a game's just coming out, I'm like, all right, let's see who else is doing this. Like when I decided to stream Licton Battle Mage, which is a game done by Xaviant, I went to the directory and said, okay, who else is doing this? Nobody. So I'll be the first, for console to do this. So I get on there. Someone said, is this Skyrim? I'm like, no, it's Licton Battle Mage. I said, never heard of it. Dude, this thing's like Skyrim on crack. I'm like, so, I sometimes go in the directory, and actually this helped me out, because when I stream Destiny, I'm at the very bottom of the directory, and I actually have one guy come in and says, there's a streamer out there called King Gothalion. I know some people may know him. When he hit 1 million viewers, I think it was, he had a drinking party, so he got pissed drunk at one point, and then two or three of his viewers came to my stream and said, I know you're at the bottom of the directory, but you're way cooler than this other guy. This other guy is drunk, and you're just here having a good time. So I actually took some of his viewers away.
Nothing wrong with that.
I know, right?
I kind of like to support the streamers that have kind of supported us over the years.
Yeah.
Zombie Unicorn's one that has always been really supportive. Like we've been working on a trailer for like 6 months. She did all the VO for her, and usually I'll try to watch her stream if she's on there. And before, there was a point I was really into Smite Pro, even though like as an employee and working on the game for a number of years, it's kind of weird to watch your own stuff sometimes. Yeah, but the casting's so well done and it's so entertaining. It's really fun to watch, like competitive Smite, or just competitive any games really, because the skill level's like so high. You're just completely blown away by, like, they figured out how to play the game at such a level. You just see like crazy things going on, and it's pretty incredible to watch. Like something you've worked on, like they figure it out to that degree. And they find things that you would never have anticipated, and that's cool to watch, like from that perspective as a fan.
I'm the weirdo that watches like everything on Twitch. I like watching Vox, the dog that does the cosplay streams. She's the cutest little Shiba Inu, and oh my gosh, they do cosplay stuff and they dress her up, and it's the cutest thing in the world. I like watching social eating streams because it takes a lot of work to keep up this pudgy figure. I like watching Smite streams, but as a community figure, I like going to the bottom of the directory and working my way up. I want to watch people, I want to show support, and I want to see the plays going from out there. When I'm driving, because I don't live anywhere near here, when I'm driving, I like to put on the pros, like the pro Twitch, and listen to that in the car, because that's what I do. But when I'm at home, I like to watch casual. I like to watch people just having fun with the game, doing crazy stuff, doing whatever they want, picking random picks, or having. There's one streamer I like called ePip, and he likes to have people choose his god for him. So I'm like, all right, Khepri ADC. Khepri is a very support tanky god. You'd go bottom lane on League with him if he were in that game, and just seeing what crazy shenanigans ensue. So I'm kind of all over the spectrum, and World of Warcraft streams for rating, of course, because I'm meticulous and like to min-max.
I love that you guys are talking about guiding your own personal entertainment by the people who are supporting you. That's probably the best tip I've heard in this panel. That's a really good idea. For myself, I don't watch a lot of gaming streaming, which is a failure on my part. When I watch something, I know. When I watch that stuff, it's usually in the VOD. That's just me. I can never catch stuff at the right times. So I need to fix that. Okay, so we're going to throw it open to questions, and we're a small enough group. I'm just going to throw the mic at somebody and just pass it around. Yeah. But one last quick thing, going back to your Ty shout out to Tyger's visual branding. You are amazingly consistent in your presentation of yourself, and that is another thing. Like, even if you can't afford great cameras or a team, if your channel looks consistent, if you use a format, a template for your thumbnails, if you dress a certain way, you'll be distinctive, and it helps. It helps you become recognizable. All right, so if anybody has...
Hey there. This one's for Matt.
Which one?
The one working on Hanako. I know. When you're doing your live streams for development, are there certain things that you do in the game that draw more people, such as sculpting, modeling, programming, level design, anything like that?
What's your name?
Oh, Gur.
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 To answer your question, it kind of depends on the day. Early on in streaming, before I kind of knew that an audience needs engagement or they'll go away. I mean, that's intuitive, but I just did whatever. If someone's there, great. If they're not, great. But then I noticed people showed up more for different parts of the process. ZBrush sculpting's a big one. I wouldn't say a big one, but relative to the audience size, like usually there's people in there like, oh yes, you're doing this part, or texturing, or seeing the asset actually get done and get implemented, and I'm throwing the new thing, and they got to see it from the very beginning. 'Cause there's certain people that really like the whole process, so they'll stick around and watch like 10 hours of like making a whole set, like a whole building, like start to finish, and then they're super. It's like seeing the end of a game almost to them. They react like, oh my god, it looks amazing in game, it's done. And then sometimes you can tell they're kind of bored, chat's not very engaged. Usually that's when I'll actually like hop in game and add bots and play for a little bit and be like, oh, you guys haven't seen gameplay in like a week, have you? They're like, oh no, or I'm falling asleep. You're just like doing UVs. So that usually helps a lot because they're like, oh sweet, look at that move, it's cool. It's not like you drawing on a thing, it's a guy like slicing another dude.
So you never really do any programming in your live streams or anything like that?
I don't program myself, but our lead programmer has. We had we kind of put out a poll back when our stream was more consistent. What do you guys want to see? And it was like overwhelmingly like, we want a code stream, and our lead programmer was like, people really want to watch me code and type code on like a Visual Studio screen share. And there were people, and Epic ended up sponsoring it and kind of advertising it, because back in the beginning when we first moved to Unreal Engine 4, we were like one of the only indie games on it, so they were like full support of us all the time. Until now, there's like infinity UE4 games, so we don't really get much now. But that stream was huge, and I think it's like our most watched VOD still. And it's weird because it's so technical, and he's a fairly entertaining guy. So if a programming stream could ever be engaging. He did a great job.
Is it Connor?
Ajani.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember Ajani?
I do, sort of vaguely. I don't think I interacted with him a whole lot.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
This question's kind of for all of you.
What's your name?
Ian. You mentioned at the beginning that the two kind of main live streaming systems were Twitch and YouTube. Which one? What are kind of the differences between the two? Like, is there any real? Are they kind of the same thing, and just depending on your preference, which one do you want to use, or is there a specific one depending on the specific kind of live streaming you want to do?
Well, it's personal preference typically. I just find Twitch easier to use. It's more console friendly. As I said, on an Xbox, you can multitask, you can snap it on there, and then you have your chat on there, but it cuts a little bit of your gameplay. But I really don't mind it. So, what? But I'm gonna give him time to talk about some other stuff. So.
I'm going to radically disagree with you. Not that your points aren't valid, but I would say that demographics is where I differentiate them. Again, what he said is perfectly valid, but YouTube, when we think of that, there's no real niche that YouTube fills. You can do pretty much whatever you want. Twitch, very game-centric, very content-centric, right? And, some of the other things, like there's Facebook Live, Periscope, again. There's other ones, but, you're kind of falling off the table here. So, demographics.
Like I say, even Blizzard has a built-in streaming function now from their launcher. You can click, and then you add a camera. There's no extra fluff. There's no overlays, as far as I know. It's just clean cut to the point. You throw your camera on there, you go play.
You can continue. I just had to tell you that you
Okay.
I see how it is.
Not necessarily that you're wrong, but that he disagrees.
He disagrees, but
Not that he's wrong.
You're on.
it's on.
Not that you're wrong, just that he completely disagreed with you in
Yeah.
every single aspect.
But yeah, I do use YouTube to upload my videos and stuff. I just, as I said, I do a lot of gaming, so Twitch is more my avenue of stuff. So.
Let me add to that actually, real quick. Sorry, Tyger. There is the video on demand aspect. So once you're done with your stream, if you're only using one place to stream and not simulcasting to different platforms, there's no harm in porting it over to YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And if you start seeing that your audience doesn't live on where you're streaming, but it lives over here, switch to over here and start streaming there.
Funny story.
Uh-oh.
So before I started casting, I wanted to become a YouTuber. And it's fun. So I would take plays that I would do from Smite, and I would just upload the entire game to YouTube. Like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50-minute videos. And I realized, you know what? Nobody likes to watch that. I mean, you cut out the fluff. There's about 20 minutes of stuff in that game where nothing is happening. So I moved over to Facebook. I would put clips. I called them Tyger snippets. And they'd just be little clips, little snaps of things that I've done in these videos, and posted them to my Facebook page that I had made. And I realized that wasn't really taking off because I was putting my hands in too many pots. I was stretching myself too thin. I wasn't able to keep up with all the social media aspects of it. So that was my random thought coming out from there. You don't want to spread yourself too thin.
Going off on the snippets thing, whenever I stream, if I see something that's really worthy to post, like comical or oh cool, my teammate just did this or something, Twitch has something you call highlights, so you can highlight each portion. Then you can export it to Twitter, export it to YouTube. So my YouTube account's there, so okay, now it's out there on YouTube, so people can view it in different aspects. Like if you go on my Twitch channel, there's a variety of videos, whether it be like, okay, in Destiny we did this kind of kill, or oh look, this fluke in the game just happened. Example I'm going to use right now is in the first raid, the hardest raid ever. There's this boss called Atheon, and hang on. And then my friend made a mistake by jumping off backwards and almost died. And there's a point where you get teleported. He happened as he was dying to get teleported right out of there.
I play Destiny. I'm familiar with that aspect you're talking about, where like random people just like randomly half the team gets teleported to some other planet,
Yeah.
and he just happened to get teleported.
Yeah, but he was about to die because he fell off the cliff, and then he just happens to be on like, and then you hear him just say, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." We're like, what happened?
I don't want to be a jerk here. We're running out of time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
please feel free to continue that conversation later. But let's.
I
get
got
more
plenty of
questions.
stories for you.
Oh boy, what's your name?
My name is Devonte. My question is with the consistency. I know you were talking about time, but is that also like things you play? Because I play a variety of games from consoles to MOBAs on PC. So
All right, so you can have Tyger Tuesday, which is Smite related. Then Wednesday nights, when the patch is over, it can be World of Warcraft. Thursday, if you want, depending on the schedule. It can be, if you're going to play different games, I'd say have them on particular days or split your time up. If you have a 4-hour stream, go 2 hours of this, 2 hours of that, depending on viewership, until you can figure out what viewers want what and when. You can kind of mold your schedule to there. But for me, I found not only just adding witty names to it, like Tyger Tuesday or Cast It Catterday, you can kind of go from there.
That was terrible.
I told you they don't get better.
Typically, since I stick with the same game, I try every day to do something different. Like Fridays is like raid time, Saturdays is like PvP, and then typically on Tuesdays I'm like, okay, let's find something out of the ordinary. But if say on a given day a viewer has requested do this game, damn, I'll do it. Let's do this one. So.
Other questions? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Jim. So from, I guess, a more technical standpoint, what would be your biggest complaints as far as the streaming technology itself? What do you find as individuals? So the pieces that you find gnawing, the things you think are kind of on the broken side but should be fixed.
I can talk to this a little because I'm dealing with it this weekend. Bandwidth is definitely a killer. Trying to figure out that math, making sure that your internet is fast enough that you're not leaving the audience watching a little spinny circle. Compression quality of the video so everything looks blocky. There are, if you use a camera that's not built into your computer, there are things called capture cards that, they come in all different qualities and sizes. I would recommend investing in that a little bit. The one I use is like $300, but I have no trouble with it. I can go from Windows, Linux, Mac, USB 2, USB 3, no problem, no software needed. You can get one for like $20. I'm not going to guarantee anything on that. The other thing too is your audio quality, and this is
Yeah, I've got stuff to talk about audio.
Sure.
Audio is the biggest thing for me, and imagine it, Sunday morning, middle of a cast, and my mic starts cutting out. It starts peaking when I get excited, when I get too hype and get too loud. So it peaks and then it cuts off. So I'm literally talking like this, and if you're listening to the stream, all of a sudden that happens right there, and then it's like, it's not even a full sentence because I cut out in the middle. So you have those issues when it comes to audio quality as well as what you're limited to with the gear that you have. I don't have an XLR mic. I have a USB mic. So yeah, it's limiting the gear that you use is the limitation there as well.
You mentioned XLR. I don't want to get us too technical, but once you really start buying serious gear, buy universally useful gear. XLR is a very standard audio cable. People always ask me, should I buy this USB mic? No. You take it anywhere else, you can't use it. If I buy XLR, I can convert that to stuff. And with the audio and with your streaming, do a test stream. I know you can do this on YouTube. I don't know about Twitch. You can do a stream all the way through to actually publishing it, and it's private. No one sees it. Do that. Watch it. Make sure it works. Make sure it sounds good. Little tiny things like this. Little tiny things like Tyger's visual branding. If you're consistent about it, and you check it, you will look better, and you don't have to invest that much time. Let's take one last question.
You can't do that privately on
Twitch. No, you can't. There's a question in the back, though.
You can't set stuff to private.
Yeah, there's a question in the back.
Yeah, let's get him the mic.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Chad.
Hi, Jen.
So, question is actually about trolls. And what do you guys do with trolls? Because all three, I love that the panel has three different folks who are doing different things. So I'm just interested in, you just totally ignore them, or how do you handle
So
this?
trolling, okay. They can go many ways with this. I've had a few on my channel. One person said, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot you a tip, but you have to be very careful with those." And never does. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna donate $100 for you to use this." Okay. And then there's one time that I had a troll come and said, "Hey, you're gonna fail at this, and I know you are, and all that." And it was in the chat, and I just rolled with it and said, "Well, thank you for your confidence. I got this. I got the best team. I got a bunch of Rangers in the military that are gonna do this help me do this in 30 minutes or less." And then he says, "F you. You were supposed to just jump off and die and stop your stream." And then one of my other buddies in the thing.
Let's not get too far.
But pretty much, you want to roll with it as much as you can. But then if your other people you're streaming with hear about it, depending on the people, they can actually make it real funny, and they'll just leave you alone.
As a female in the gaming industry,
You put up with so much crap.
I woke up the other day to a Twitter message saying, "We want a female Smite caster. She-male lesbian caster does not count." It's a good thing I don't watch Twitch chat when we cast, because I got a girl voice. It's a little high. Sorry, can't do anything about it. People are going to complain. They're going to complain about everything. If I wasn't wearing a vest, if I didn't look like whatever they want to call me, then it'd be different hate. It doesn't go away. The best thing you can do is absolutely do not acknowledge it. The only thing that I do sometimes, if it's directly related to me and I'm sitting there watching the chat, I'll put, "You say the sweetest things." Aside from that, don't acknowledge it. Don't give them any kind of headway. They want the attention. If you leave it be, they'll leave you alone.
Cool. Okay, let's wrap it up. I want everybody to promote yourselves, give us your Twitters, give us your channels, and then we'll say goodbye.
You can find me at Tyger Rises, TYGER RISES on Twitter, and Tyger Games, TYGER Games on Twitch, although I don't stream as much from there.
My Twitch is Twitch/Hanako Game, HANAKO, and that's our Twitter handle too. Again, I probably stream maybe like once a week now. It's not a whole lot, but there's the YouTube. I think is the same thing. That's where like our trailers and everything go. That'll be more interesting as we get further down the development cycle.
All right, majority of my handles are Obando, with the exception of Twitch. That's Ringtuple, and Facebook is Ringtuple
Spell that.
Ringtuple is RINGTUPLE.
And you can find me on Twitter at @AGameWriter, which is hilarious because I haven't written for games in 2 years. Consistency. My channel is @MostUniquest. My YouTube channel is also @MostUniquest with my wife. And I think that's pretty much it. So like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And thank you guys for coming. This was really fun. This is where you clap.